you know?
Yeah, yeah, no, ditto, ditto.
Yeah.
But that's the exciting part.
Yeah. So what's interesting is there's still, you know, there's still the same market needs. So, you know, as a trader, as a student from Bitcoin Academy, as you know, I mean, serving this industry, that opportunity still exists as strong as it ever has, right?
Huge.
And, yeah, and I was sitting back in I think in 2016, as I can't remember exactly when you came on. Maybe you came on 2017. Um,
Yeah,
but I was talking to students in 2016 and thinking about how, you know, we always kept speculating, well, what's going to happen in the future with this market, right? What's going to happen? And when I started trading in the way that I've trained you in 2013, right? And I was thinking the same thing in 2013. In 2013, I was thinking, you know what? We've got maybe a 3-year window, right?
yeah.
in this opportunity, and here we are sitting 6 years later, and the opportunity is just as good as it's ever been. The problems still exist with the banks. The regulations are still, you know, ambiguous, right? We still have all the
Yep.
same problems that we did 6 years ago, um, and
I
it's
love it.
yeah, I love it because we can all make money. So that's the good part of it. But it's kind of mind blowing, you know. It's my little mind blowing. And one of the lessons that it teaches me is that how slow things move, particularly in an industry that impacts the financial industry and the banking industry. That, you know, it just, you know, we could be sitting here 6 years, 10 years from now, and still have the same huge opportunity. Like, you know.
It's so so true. When a system that's so lucrative is trying to change itself, it's very slow to change. It seems.
Yeah, yeah, it is. So, you know, we had lots of speculation from the community in the early days. And when I say early days, I'm talking between 2010 and 2013, um, where a lot of people were, you know, we're talking about we're going to reach mass adoption by, you know, 2020 or 2022, right? You know, throwing these 10-year markers out there, and we're not even close.
Yep.
Not even close.
Crazy.
So, um, so interesting thing going on. Let me see who's going to be on the call with us today. I think we've got mostly, yeah, it looks like everyone here is both Bitcoin Academy students and investors. So we're good. So we can talk about whatever we like. I I see a tremendous opportunity. Um, all of you here that are on the call today, and I know there's I have a bunch of guys that are on the call today. You know, they've got growing businesses trading Bitcoin. But in my conversations with them over the holidays, because I had a bunch of people reach out to me just to say hello and wish me Merry Christmas and so forth. Um, they're all their businesses as far as trading are just growing. They're just growing. They're just booming. They're getting more new clients. It's still continuing to grow, even though volume in the industry overall is, I would say, much lower than, of course, in, you know, late last year. But everyone's businesses seem to be growing for the most part, and I see an opportunity to expand that into other jurisdictions. You know, I think the U.S., we've got a handful of banks that are starting to play ball in the cryptocurrency space. I have relationships with 3 of them, and because we're like 10 years down the road with this Bitcoin thing, you're starting to see other jurisdictions open up in other parts of the world, and but not very strong. Still the same, very weak. Like, you know, less than for many of them, less than what is in the U.S. Besides the normal, you know, Malta, St. Vincent, you know, Cook Islands, that kind of stuff that typically deals with helping resolve these issues. But other jurisdictions are coming along. So, and there's still a need around the world, and it's growing faster outside the United States. So one of the things I've been thinking about, and actually years ago, I used to trade. I was expanding outside the United States, and then I consolidated back in the United States because there was more than enough business here, and I didn't have to deal with all the crap of other fiat currencies and other banks and so forth. So I just decided not to. But this year, I'm going to start investing outside the United States and choosing jurisdictions in other countries. For example, my wife is from Kazakhstan, and she's going to be going back to Kazakhstan for a few months. And we're going to set up operations in Kazakhstan and have, and in Kazakhstan, they speak Russia, and they're located right next to China and to Russia itself. Establish banking relationships there, and service all of the liquidity providers out there, because there are a handful of people that are trading Bitcoin out there, but none of them have a good source to get access to it, right? So we're going to go out there and establish business, and I think keep doing that around the globe. I think it's I think the opportunity is growing faster outside the U.S. than even inside the U.S. So we'll continue. Anyway, those are just some thoughts. The other heavy thought, of course, because it's one of the things that we're all asking the question that I've been pondering on is, where are we going from here? Let's start with, there's several aspects of that. Number one, where are we going here with the price of Bitcoin in 2019? Two, where is the industry headed, right? There's some things that have happened that have given us some pause, right? Ethereum Classic, had a successful 51% attack. But that's, and I look at that, that's very plausible, probable. As volumes drop and there's a moment of low mining power being used, with a lot of miners going out of business, a lot of mining power, I don't know what the exact numbers are. I haven't had the chance to do the deep dive into it to figure out what the real difficulty rate was and the total hash power contributed to the Ethereum Classic network at the time the 51% attack happened. If somebody else has those numbers, I'd be interested. But what does that mean for blockchain? What does that mean for ICOs? People that launch these smaller tokens, where are we going? And I've got some thoughts about that as well. So we'll deal with that in a minute. But let's talk about the price of Bitcoin itself. Just Bitcoin, just BTC. What's going to happen in 2019? Are we going to see Bakkt get us a certain level of Crypto 51 app? Okay, yeah, perfect. Thank you for sharing that. Did you share that with everyone? Yeah, you did. Yeah, Marco shared with us crypto51.app, and it gives you the cost of the hack. So interesting, the last one, Bitcoin. Huh, interesting. All right, well, I'll look at that later. So where are we going with Bitcoin? Are we going to see some progress with Bakkt or any other institutional, Bitcoin ETF? And all indications right now that I see is that yes, that's going to happen. We're going to see pretty soon. It's likely that Bakkt is going to completely circumvent the SEC and work directly with the CFTC and get a get an ETF approved, which is significant for institutional players. Do you have any color to that, Tim? I know that you've been doing some research on that. Do you have any color to that?
A little bit, yeah. We cited the records of what happens in terms of cryptocurrency prices. I think specifically research was done on Bitcoin prices when there is regulatory news that comes out, and when there's regulatory news related to, I think what they call it is something that circumvents the SEC in the U.S., such as what Bakkt is doing. They show that there can be a jump over a 10-day period if it's that kind of progress of I think it's between 5 and I want to say 25% in the price of Bitcoin. So obviously more and more of the facts seem to support the idea that Bakkt is going to launch. And whether it's January 24th, or whether it's a month delayed, they're adding staff, and they've been making announcements to journalists about talking with the commodities, whatever it's Commodities Exchange Commission, so that if that launches goes smoothly, then there could, judging from on historic research, there could be a bounce, or it could be some type of a spark for a rally. No guarantees by any means of that. And again, that's contingent upon the launch going well, flawlessly in the beginning. So yeah, I think that is that looks like an all systems go, and it's more a question of when rather than whether.
Right. I'll share this with everyone. There's an article a couple of days ago, Cointelegraph, the Winklevoss twins also address this issue. I'll post it here. I'll post it first in our Slack, and then I'll post it in Zoom for everyone there. So they have some interesting things to say about that. So we'll see what happens. I think the timing of where we're at with Bitcoin and what's going to require it to go through its next bubble. Does anyone recall? Does anyone recall what happened and what caused the previous bubble in Bitcoin? And let's quantify that. Let's look at that. I'm going to go over to TradingView.
Wasn't it the futures?
Yes. Well, the futures was given credit for it, but no. I'm going to share my screen here real quick, so we can all look at the same screen. Zoom share. There it is. So if we're all looking at this, and I'll look at the just 1 year first, right? But then I guess this only allows you to go to 5 years. I can't pick a time frame between that. But if you see this, when you look at a chart like this, you can't tell, right? It's just random. There's only one bubble, but there was many bubbles, and when did this begin, and what created it and caused it? And I really think that it was overall continued momentum, right? That builds over time, because if you go back into 2016, there is a bubble in 2016 and 2007. You can't really see it without. I wonder if I can, with this chart, move it off the screen where we can see a logarithmic view to kind of drill down in here a little better. Let me minimize this so I can see what I'm doing here. So you're looking in, if for example, this might look like a bubble here in 2017, right, where we ran up significantly. I'll generate that's a logarithmic view as opposed to percentage view. Logarithmic gives you a little bit better perspective, I think. And then of course, one ball back here in 2014.
You mean 2014, right, Brian? Or
yes.
2013?
Yeah, 2014, and then in this perceived run in 2017. You see that, what that looked like here? How it just seems to be boom, 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 and then a crash, right?
Can I ask you a question about that, Brian? I don't want to interrupt you if you want to present.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Just the question I'll be curious about your impressions of as you develop your answer is to what degree was the rise of the bubble more, if one can say this, more a function of investment and rather than actual usage and adoption? Were the two really interlinked, or was this more predominantly something where more and more people wanted more and more money into the store of value, and it really wasn't as much a reflection of rising adoption. I'm only asking. I know that the Cambridge Center for whatever it is, financial research, claims that when they look today, in 2018 actually, nobody really can see through and distinguish between investment volume as transactions of Bitcoin versus actual transactions that are commercial, that use Bitcoin for its original purpose. They have pieced together enough information to conclude that the 35 million plus users of the world that they estimate as a minimum number are predominantly involved in investment for a variety of reasons. But that doesn't mean that they're the end-all be-all, and I'm just curious about your thesis about the cause of the bubble relative to investment versus kind of commercial usage.
Yeah, so the bubble is really driven by speculative investment, right? There's
Okay.
The growth of adoption is a pretty steady growth curve. It's not a hyper curve like this is, like you see here in the end of 2017. That kind of adoption is not happening from users. It takes time for people to identify a use case, apply this technology to that use case, and then use it on a regular, consistent basis. And so you see smaller percentage increases, which might be more better. I just trying to think of a data point that would illustrate that a little better. But you can look at data points like showing the number of developers, right, in the cryptocurrency space, and see how that's growing. It seemed to me also that Bitcoin searches, Google searches, gave a little bit of highlight to that, right? But I don't know if that's a good indicator or not. But definitely the growth of developers in the community. You know, there's a certain percentage of users that are developers, and how quickly developers are growing in the space is indicative of the adoption rate, I would say. So it's an important subject you bring up, because really, if you look at just purely adoption and use, you know, the Bitcoin price, like if we look back here in August 2016, and let me go, let's see, Bitcoin price, August 2016. Because that chart wasn't really shown to me. So July, September, we got 600, 630. That's what I thought. So it's in the $600 to $800 range. And I guess it does show me up here in the upper, well, no, in the upper left corner. No, it does. It says 659. That's all right. Even at that stage where price was, we still had speculators. We had a good percentage of speculators in the market that were investors in Bitcoin, as opposed to users driving that price. And because they all saw, you know, 600 was way better than what it had been before, and they saw it as still a speculative bet. And I remember I'm going to go over here to 2017, about right here. In February of 2017, I was interacting with people on Facebook. If you look at American Bitcoin Academy Facebook page and some of the conversation threads, you'll see that I was talking to people that were saying that, you know, this is the highest that Bitcoin will ever go, and that Bitcoin can only go down from here. Matter of fact, there was a whole herd mentality of people like that. There was a whole bunch of them telling me that, you know, don't invest in Bitcoin. American Bitcoin Academy is a scam. You know, Bitcoin can only go down from here. And we had some good quotes by Jamie Dimon and others out there, kind of giving us a similar outlook for Bitcoin. And so that was scaring some investors. But it didn't hold. And particularly what was going on here was during this time and after was the ICO market, right? Where people were raising all these other tokens raising this money on these other tokens. And investors at this time, when it was here, investors were looking at Bitcoin, and I would say investors, I'm talking retail investors, right? You and I, people that just invest our own money. investors were looking at this and saying, well, Bitcoin's already run up, right? This is the narrative that was happening at this time. Bitcoin has already run up. It's broke $1,000. And so I can't get rich on Bitcoin anymore. Man, I wish I would have got in when it was under 100. But now I'm going to invest my money in some other crypto. This is the narrative that was happening. And so they went out and were looking for all these other ICOs. They invested in Ethereum, and then on down Lightning Network, Monero, Zcash, Dash, and then on down the line to the smallest little dinky things. Hoping that one of those might go up to $1,000 and they too can be rich, right? Not even considering of what could happen, right? And back then I was saying that Bitcoin was going to break above 10,000 probably by the end of the year, and 10,000 is about, about this mark, right? So it far exceeded my expectations. And then this year, I thought that we were going to have a faster adoption among institutions in 2018. I thought that what's probably going to happen in 2019 was going to happen in 2018, where we see the adoption of institutions. And certainly it did not happen at the rate or the time that I expected. As I was expecting that to begin taking place and really drive the price in 2018. So nonetheless, as a result of that, we have seen, where we are today. And I'll just click on 1 year so we can look at just that. We had this never-ending short, this never-ending kind of flat line almost. And then expecting to break out to the top, we broke out to the bottom, and now we're sitting here, which I'm still very bullish. I still have, I think we're in an oversold position. I think that this recent price action was driven down by manipulators, and I think that we're going to recover from this because they haven't been effective in driving the price down any further. But it doesn't mitigate the torment that we've experienced in the community, where one, we've had lots of miners going out of business. We've had cryptocurrency companies laying people off because much of their investment they were holding in crypto. They were taking that float risk. And as a result, they've just in the last few months, they've lost, half of their capital, whatever their capital was. And I think Eric Voorhees announced recently that he laid off, was it 31, 35, or 37 employees, something like that, and felt really bad about it. But they've got to continue to survive in the market that we're in. So it's played its toll both in the industry. It's obliterated a lot of mining operations, and that whole thing has had a psychological impact on people's perception of the market. So as with most businesses, it's a good strategy for you guys that are traders out there is to continue to focus on your core business, on providing liquidity to the market, because that business still exists as strong as ever. There's still a demand out there, and there's a shortage of there's a shortage of people that can make it easy for them to access. And so I still find more and more customers coming out of the woodwork. And I think, as a side note, before I forget, I think Eric mentioned, and I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I think Aaron asked about Paxful in our thread earlier, and I would recommend that anybody access the Paxful and try and tap into their liquidity there, and find traders. As I know the guys at Paxful. They just established his offices in New York latter part of last year in order to try and build out the U.S. business. And they're actively trying to build that liquidity. So we shall see. Anyway, just one area to possibly expand your business is all I'm saying that for. So we shall see in 2019. So if someone asks, well, Brian, what do you think is happening to the price in 2019? You know what? I think what I was anticipating was going to happen in 2018 is going to happen in 2019. It's just going to happen late. So I think everything that I've been telling you is still spot on with regards to institutions. Do I have concerns? I have concerns about two things. I have concerns about, and it's not really, I don't think it's going to last. My opinion is it's not going to last, but I have a concern about the market manipulation that's been going on in the market and the way in which it's shattered investor confidence in the space, right? That takes a toll. And I think that how we're going to recover from that, I'm not exactly sure yet. Maybe the institutional players coming in and the advent of an ETF or so forth will help restore confidence in the space. I know like the ICO business is all dead, right? You have a whole bunch of investors that invest in ICOs, and that whole business is dead. And now the industry is all saying that the next wave is going to be security tokens and securitized tokens. I don't know. I don't know. Are investors going to run after security tokens like they ran after ICOs? I don't know. Are there going to be as many startup companies that are going to even be able to do that kind of thing because the cost of regulation, particularly in the U.S. I mean, it probably costs about $100,000 to launch a token, right? What startup company has $100,000 in order to create a security token? Which is probably greatly reduced the competition in the marketplace because the barrier to entry is harder, right? So I don't know about that. The second thing is this 51% attack on Ethereum Classic. We've seen it on other smaller tokens, but to date, this is probably the largest network that we've seen a successful attack happen on. And maybe it's just because it's an anomaly and the hash power was incredibly low at the specific time. So maybe that's it. But what it does is it poses a real threat to new tokens that want to come in the market. You know, how can you launch your own token knowing that it's a threat of attack, a successful attack, without getting a certain amount of mass adoption of your token, right? It's difficult to go from zero to, you know, Bitcoin, right? From zero as far as the size of the network goes. So is there room for new players to build out new innovations and tokens when there's a threat of that kind of attack until you get to critical mass? So it's a problem that gets to be, you know, looked at and solved. And so, you know, I guess we're probably going to continue with ERC20 tokens, which are built on the Ethereum network. And then the other network, what is it, RSK? Yeah, RSK network. So the RSK network is out, if you guys don't know this. And it's a new protocol that enables smart contracts on the Bitcoin network. And I'll share a link with that in the same places. Which I really like, actually. I like the fact that now we can build these same tokens as smart contracts on the Bitcoin blockchain as opposed to Ethereum, with the problems that Ethereum's had. Here, I just posted it in Slack, and I'll post it in here.
Hey, Brian, I have a question when you're ready.
Yeah. I've been blabbing for a little while. Go ahead, ask your question, Mike.
Okay. No, it's all good, man. Great info. Thank you.
Good.
So it seemed to me that when the market cap, and correct me obviously if I'm wrong, but it seemed to me when the market cap was in the $600, $700, $800 billion range, that the manipulation didn't appear to be a big factor. It seems to me to be a huge factor right now. That's what it appears to me.
Well, something else I've discovered that's added to that is much of the volume on exchanges is fake.
I see.
And so there is wash trading going on across a range of different exchanges. And there's a reason why that's going on, but it is going on. I've confirmed it now, and that's contributing to market manipulation. But go ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
Right. Well, you know, when that product came out, the futures product came out, that started to smell very funny. That's when I saw, wow.
I'm sorry, is there any way to speak up? I can't hear anything. I don't know if anybody else can.
Can you hear me, Brian?
It's really, it is faint. It is faint.
Oh
I
boy,
can't hear you, but it is faint. So,
I can't get any closer to the mic. I'm so sorry.
okay,
That's better.
that's better. Yes.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, I noticed then that the price action was wacky, so it looked funny. But I guess my question is it a big function of the market cap? Is that a huge function into how much it can be manipulated?
It is a function into how it can be manipulated, but it's really traded volume, it's a possibility that 90% of the volume on cryptocurrency exchanges is fake. I say that as it's a possibility because I don't want you to run away and take that as a hard fact. It's a possibility that as much as that is fake. Maybe it's 50%. Maybe it's less. But there's a good solid percentage of volume on these exchanges that are not real. And what I mean not real is that there is somebody with a bot, probably the exchange itself, that's on both the bid and ask side of the trade and running a program to create volume on their platform. And why do they want to create volume on their platform? So that they can get ranked on these exchange ranking sites like CoinMarketCap, right, and others, because it seems like the 90% of referrals to exchanges. In other words, when somebody's looking for an exchange, they go to these ranking platforms, they look at the top ranked exchanges, and then that's where they go, right? That's where they go, is they go to that exchange. And so the way to get business or attract business is to be ranked on these exchange ranking platforms. The only way to do that is to manufacture volume on your platform. Because I've been interested. There's some things that have shocked me. You know, we run a trade desk, and we run a decent trade desk. We provide liquidity, and we do trades every week, but it's not monstrous like I think it should be. And I trade with people like Cumberland and Circle, and I trade on Kraken and so forth. And I was talking to Cumberland, and I come to find out that we're like one of their top customer. Like, we do more volume with them than anybody else. I'm like, what? Right?
Wow.
How can that be? And it gives me some insight into, wow, volumes really are a bit weaker on the trading side than what it appears like on the exchanges. And then after doing some other research, I determined that that's the case. I really think that a lot of volume on cryptocurrency exchanges are manufactured. And if that's the case also, they're prone to manipulation. Right? Now, not all exchanges are that way. There's some exchanges that are I think, legit. I think, Kraken probably is one of them. I think Coinbase is probably one of them. I think Bitfinex is probably one of them. I think, a lot of these exchanges have been around for a while. They've got good order book.
Like Binance.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about Binance. I think Binance, I think, has a good percentage of manufactured volume on their platform.
Wow.
They have even stronger justification to do it, right? Because they launched with their Binance coin, and in 6 months, they became the top exchange in the world as far as volume goes. And the only way that you could explain it is say, well, they had a bunch of community that was invested in their Binance coin, and so they were incentivized everyone to jump over to their platform and refer everyone else. But is it possible that Binance manufactured much of that volume? And what would be the incentive for them to do that? Well, one, get customers and be successful, so they can be successful. But two, their Binance token, right? Their utility token that they offered out in the space. The more successful Binance is, the more valuable its token is perceived, and therefore, and of course, they're holding a good percentage of that token. So by manufacturing volume on their platform, they could create a tremendous amount of buzz. And Binance is not regulated in the U.S. at all. And the other thing that makes me think that is the CEO and founder of Binance has very openly accused other exchanges of manufacturing volume. Um, and so I know that he knows how to do it, and I know that he knows the incentive, and I know that it's probably because he's doing it himself. So anyway.
Frank, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
First of all, I think that's a very interesting analysis. People in glass houses shouldn't throw currency.
Yeah.
But do you have any analysis of how trading on the OTC market versus trading on standard exchanges, so to speak, impacts the price of Bitcoin or price of cryptocurrency? I've read a little bit about that, but I haven't really understood it fully. The OTC market, they've sort of said that has kind of taken some of the volume, which one of the implications, away from the standard exchanges.
Yeah, it has taken away from the exchanges, especially for the more practical use cases. For example, I have a customer that trades gift cards in large scale, and so they are buying. Let's see. Yeah, they're I can't remember exactly what their model is, but anyway, the bottom line is here's a use case for Bitcoin, and they need to be able to turn it over. They have accounts with other exchanges, but they're not using the exchanges because it's much easier to deal with us. It's faster. We don't publish our price at what we trade at. Neither do the other OTC desks. They don't publish anywhere the price that they're trading at, right? We actually take our prices from the existing points of the markets out there. So my electronic trade desk is connected to Kraken, I'm connected to Poloniex, I'm connected to Bitfinex, I'm connected to Binance, I'm connected to all these various exchanges where I believe there's real market activity happening. And then I look at that activity to find best execution, and we build our price from there, right? So our prices, and I assume that's the same for everyone else too. I know that Circle does it that way. I know that Cumberland does it that way. They have an electronic trade desk. So we get our prices from the exchanges, whereas we don't publish our volume. Nobody knows how much volume we're trading. Nobody knows how much volume Circle's trade desk or Cumberland's trade desk is trading. They don't publish that information. So it's hard to say. How do you know? Nobody publishes the information. How do you know how much volume's being traded on OTC? The only way whenever we do a trade, though, there is a blockchain transaction, right? Because we don't do ledger transactions like exchanges do. We send the Bitcoin to the client directly, or we receive it from them. So transaction volume on the blockchain would be indicative of the type of volume that's being traded, not just OTC desks, but the whole industry as a whole. And what is that? I'm curious right at the moment. Let's look at that real quick. So let's see, confirmed transactions. I have number of transactions. I don't have, let me see if I can get USD equivalent. I've got there's over 300,000 confirmed transactions in the last block, but I'm trying to find the estimated USD transaction value. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So 590 million. So 590 million in the last block. In the previous block, it was 620 million. In the block before that, it was 293 million. So that reflects what's happening. 596, over $1 billion in the last 30 minutes. on the blockchain.
Can that be faked or manipulated, Bud?
Is that what?
Can that be readily faked or manipulated, or that's really much more pure?
That can't be faked or manipulated.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And I'll share the link where I'm getting the information from with you guys too, so you can see it.
If it could, we'd be in big trouble.
That's right. You're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that can't be faked or manipulated. The stuff on exchanges can, because they're just ledger transactions, but this can't be. And I think if you added up some of the information, here, let's see, 7. Actually, this is publishing a day at a time. So it's not 10-minute intervals. It's a day at a time. So my data, so it was 590 million on the 7th, right? Which was 2 days ago, Monday. So there's 590 million traded on the 7th. On the 6th, it was 620 million. And on the 5th, it was 293, a little over 293 million. And I sent you the link for that chart. So that can't be faked. That's real volume of what's happening on the blockchain. And it's indicative of what's happening in the industry. I'm going to change the time frame here and look over the last couple of years. So trading volume in terms of dollars is on par with what was going on in the middle of 2017. Okay, that's about where we are now. If I will go back farther than that, but so we had a dramatic increase in volume transactions that was very volatile when we went through the spike, but then it came back down. It's been pretty level since March, April time, right, as far as transaction volume goes, with the exception of a couple spikes during our drop in price. All right, so the second thing I wanted to make sure I got to too is what the state of the industry is. And I think that the state of the industry from a technical standpoint, I'll just sum it up with this: it's just maturing. And it's going to continue to take longer than we expect for the market to mature, right? The promises that were made years ago at various conferences have not been fulfilled, but yet underground, the number of developers that are building things and developing things, there are products and services that are beginning to come into market by some of the larger companies in supply chain management area. And the whole ICO industry really panned out nothing. Nothing happened in the ICO space. I found out yesterday that one of my customers who had bought, probably 30 million plus worth of, actually sold about 30 million worth of Ethereum to me during 2018 and 2017. It turns out the owner of that ICO was a criminal. I just found out there was an article published on him that the guy was disguising his identity, and he launched an ICO out of New York, which raised about $40 million. I didn't know who the guy was. I didn't know who the founder was at all. I was just dealing with their CFO and helping them get cash to fund their operation. But it's interesting that, those stories are probably abound with ICOs that raised a bunch of money and are now just gone, unfortunately, giving the whole industry a bad name. So from a technical perspective, we're going to continue to advance. I would anticipate seeing less offerings on the Ethereum network and more offerings on RSK, which I shared with you in this link. And so you'll be able to see more tokens coming out, probably secured tokens. And what a secured token is, the only difference of a secured token is the fact that it's the same thing as an ICO, except for it provides all of the legal disclosures required by the jurisdiction to be a security. That's it, right? So you got all your offering documents, all your disclosures, and any technical mechanisms that are required by regulators. For example, a a US dollar backed token like a stable coin, requires that the token be destroyed when it's turned into dollars and vice versa. So those technical features have to be built into the token itself. But that's what I would anticipate seeing. Questions? I want to continue to be able to answer questions and talk about the industry. I'm a little bit disgruntled by, in predicting price. I just that's not the business I want to be in, is predicting price. I want to talk more about the fundamentals, and we can all kind of get out of that what we think is going to happen with price, not just to Bitcoin, but also the rest of the crypto industry. I think it's good to be informed as an investor on this space. And we'll continue to invite guests on this, on the program that will give us their insight and potential predictions and so forth. We've been working hard to build out this product so that we have we have a list of guests that will be coming on future calls and so forth, and the community will grow. We haven't done anything to grow it yet at this point, but we're just going to start that this first quarter. But what things you guys want to talk about?
I'd like to hear about RSK, but I don't want to interrupt anybody else, so I'll hold back.
Okay, hold back on that one. Yeah, that's a long discussion. Yeah, just click on the link that I sent you. It's basically the ability to create smart contracts on the Bitcoin blockchain is what it is. Okay, Leo, you asked a question. Yeah, so the answer is yes. There's still more volume outside the exchanges. Go ahead, Mike.
Do you want to talk about price on a particular coin, or you want to stay away from that?
I'm not going to talk about price. I'll talk about fundamentals.
Fundamental, yeah, like stellar lumens. It's like it just like kind of dove, and I'm just not sure what the fundamental problem is because it had all the good hype.
Yeah. Well, that's what it was, though. Was hype. So Stellar Lumens, it's been a long time since I looked at that, but if I recall, it's a non-decentralized token. Is that correct? It's a non-decentralized token that has capacity to doing many more transactions than Bitcoin can do.
I believe that's correct. It's an IBM child, to some degree.
Yeah, and so why the recent hit on price? Let's look at the price and see what we can find. Pressure. Yeah, I don't. Let's look at the price action here real quick. Price doesn't look like it's taken any major hit. If I'm looking right at XLM, we've got it's still bouncing around the 12-cent range.
Yeah, it was 20 cents, 18 cents, 25 cents for a long time. Like even when Bitcoin was, in the.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at a 24-hour chart. Forgive me. Let me.
Yeah, I'm talking more like months. The last couple of months or last month.
Yeah, so Lumens falls in the DApp section. And all of these DApp type cryptos just have to compete to capture the market, and it's probably been hit along with the rest of the industry. I mean, from 20 down to 12, but there's got to be adoption and use for it to find its way into the marketplace and end up with all these DApp solutions. As soon as whether it be on Ethereum, whether it be on EOS, whatever DApp token it's on, it has got to build a product and commercialize that product and deliver it to the market. And currently, I would say almost none of them have done it. Now, I say that with caution because there are some products out there, but have they seen any mass adoption? No. CryptoKitties is an example of a product. Example of a product. We've got some supply chain products that have come out, but have they seen some significant adoption? No. So it's hard to declare a winner or a loser yet until that happens. And whether Lumens is going to be one of them, I don't know. I know that it did have the hype, but a lot of cryptos had hype. And hype, all hype means is that you've got a really good sales and marketing team, right? That are able to get their messaging out and across and create a lot of buzz. Plus, hopefully it's based on some truth. But really, when you look at a token, whether it's longevity, you've got to look at its fundamentals and how it competes in the marketplace. And I think we're quite a ways off from declaring somebody a winner. When we do declare somebody a winner, the price of that token will spike significantly. So if you really believe in blockchain technology and DApps, there is a viable strategy in going to all the DApps and just investing money in all of them. Just investing some in all of them. It's kind of a venture capital play.
Right. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah. Okay, other questions?
Yeah, I have one.
Yes, Leo.
What do you think about Decreed?
All right, I'll tell you in just a second here. So let's look at, I just want to check out its price action to see if my hypothesis is justified. Okay, so with Decreed, let's, Decreed has been extremely volatile if you've been investing in or trading Decreed. Are you investing in Decreed now, Leo?
Not yet. I'm just interested in the fundamentals on it.
Okay. So with Decreed, let's see, tools. I'm evaluating. I'm looking at its price and volume action right now because I want to see. I want to see what's going on. Okay. Well, I don't know enough about it to give you some sound insight into the fundamentals, but the token overall is has been extraordinarily volatile, and I don't know exactly why. I don't know why it's been extremely volatile. I think that Decreed will. Hold on a second. Let me see. So I'm not going to say as far as price goes, but on the fundamentals, I think that Decreed has a solid underlying use case and technology, and I think that it is definitely a competitor. I just don't know if it's going to win in the end, and therefore I have no idea whether or not we're going to see this token, die, it could completely die, or take off. So let's see. Let me look at something else here. We'll look at the hash power that's being applied to it right now. Bitcoin. Hmm. Let's see. Kind of hash power are we getting?
It just seems they have a solid protocol and et cetera kind of stuff. That's just
Yeah, well, I mean, they have a hybrid proof of work and proof of stake mining system, and it's a philosophical, it's a new philosophical approach to governance, right? Wanting to create open governance in the community and sustainable, financing and development for it. So I think in that regard, it's very promising. But from my experience, you never know. Um, it's hard to predict whether this system is going to take hold. Um, in history, when we look at technology, it's not always the best system that wins out and becomes gains mass adoption. Um, it's just not. Oftentimes, it's the best branding. Typically, people adopt technology based on trust. And that's probably why Bitcoin is going to win out over Decreed, because of the trust that has it's gained in the community. I mean, TCP/IP was not the best protocol at the time the internet was invented, but yet it was the one that was used because it gained traction and trust and developers working on it. So I would be cautious. I'm not saying not to invest in Decreed. I'm just saying that don't put all your eggs in one basket. I think its theory and its approach is good. I think it's solid. But whether or not the market will accept it is yet to be seen, and that's all.
Got it.
Yeah. So we'll just we'll have to wait and see.
Do you remember that chart you gave us about like there's more volume outside of the exchanges? I was just wondering if you had that link again so we can maybe compare to like what was then and now, if it increased or decreased or whatever.
Yeah, no, I don't have that at my fingertips right now, but I can tell you just verbally that it still remains the same. In other words, there's still a lot more volume outside of exchanges than inside. Although that chart may not reveal it anymore, I'll have to go back and find that chart again, but it may not reveal it anymore because of the fact that a lot of the volume, in my opinion, on the exchanges are manufactured. I mean, let's go to coin market cap. So we've already looked at, like, there was close to, it's like 600 million, right, in transactions on the blockchain. And let's go over to coin market cap real quick. Take a look at what the total volume is on these. So if we look at exchanges, and then let's look at reported volume, 30 days. So BitHum, let's see, let's do the high. So BitMEX is 44 billion. BitHum is 35 billion. This is over the last 30 days. Let's do 24 hours. Let's look at 24 hours because that's what we're comparing to on the others. So, and I don't have an easy way, I think. Maybe there's another way to do this here where I can get total Bitcoin trading volume. We can see that there's so No, there's not an easy way to capture that information. Market cap. Yeah, 24-hour volume is 15 trillion. There we go. So we have on the blockchain about 500 million worth of transactions. And then off the blockchain on exchanges, reported volume, we have 15 trillion. So I think maybe a trillion of that is probably real. Maybe between 1 and 2 trillion of that volume is probably real. I think the rest of it is probably manufactured. But that's a lot. Wait a second. That's no, not trillion, billion. Sorry, excuse me. I counted one extra comma here. That's a million. We got billion, 15 billion. So the same thing. I would say maybe 1 billion of it is real. Maybe 1.5 billion, somewhere in there. So it's still quite a bit of volume happening. Okay. So questions. What are we going to do this year? I recommend all of you to continue to use your resources to build your trading business is what I recommend. And continue to build your customer base and expand your businesses. There's still a really strong opportunity that exists right now. Volume is good. And it's going to steadily grow. So throughout 2019, that business is going to steadily increase. The number of customers you have today are going to increase next month, and the month after that, and the month after that. And so if you want to build an income stream for yourself, continue to build the business that I've taught all of you. And, all right. Any other questions? All right, you guys. It's good to see you. So again, Happy New Year for 2019.
One quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are these calls being recorded lately?
This call is being recorded. Yes. Is that you, Doug?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to be able to revisit a couple of things you said.
Yes, absolutely. No, it's being recorded, and yeah, and they'll be posted by Friday of each week. So when we hopefully sooner we'll have the video up. But right now, as it's scheduled, it's supposed to be up by Friday every week.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
How's the hedge fund going?
Yes, TJ?
I said, how was the hedge fund doing?
Oh, well, you got a performance report lately, so you should know. It's doing great.
I didn't get one.
Oh, really? You should have. Yeah, you should have received one in your email.
Okay, I didn't. I think I'm not in the email, so maybe you want to put me on the email.
Yeah, no, I think that you are. Let me check your email, TJ.
Yeah, I haven't been getting it either.
All right, who was that just spoke up?
Doug.
Oh, Doug? Okay. Well, let me deal with that separately. I have tjsgolconda@gmail.com.
Yeah. I only received one email in the total the whole year.
All right. Well, thank you for letting me know. Maybe it's being sent the wrong place. I'll follow up with that immediately. Thanks, TJ.
How is your the arbitrage the platform that you were building? Has it come up? The software, everything.
Yes. Yeah. So we're doing very well on the arbitrage. So I think we're doing like 11.5%. In the recent month, but we're doing very well in the arbitrage. We still haven't implemented all the technology we want to implement yet. We're still working on that piece of it, but what we are doing is going really good.
Awesome.
So I'll send you an email to address that specifically, TJ.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. You guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Bye-bye.